how does knowing a satellite's impact before it launches help communities become more resilient to extreme weather? And how do you simulate that? Because I know you're talking about like, right, we have more data. We have specific microwave sounders that
Mhm.
are able to collect unique data that other weather, companies do not have and gives it better accuracy. But like when we launch them, how does that help other communities prepare for extreme weather? And how do we simulate that?
All right, so that's a little bit of a two-parter here. So the first one is by launching these instruments, you can look at storms as they develop throughout time, and everybody likes to use the common example of hurricanes and hurricane forecasting.
Yeah.
If you can see hurricane development more, you can get a better representation of the track, and you can get a better representation of the intensity of the storm.
Hmm.
It's not just hurricanes. Those are always just the extreme event that everybody goes to. But for just regular thunderstorm development just outside of your community, that affects you too. Lightning matters. You want to close sports stadiums and you don't
Yeah.
want kids out in fields. If it matters for transportation, you don't want to send trucks down an area where you're going to have hail.
Yeah.
So, yes, by having this, you're able to make better approximations of the future, of course. But
Yeah.
to prepare too, that's its own fascinating branch of science. So, you want to prepare to figure out what your instrument's going to see before you build and launch it, because
Mhm.
otherwise, you've spent a lot of money on something that you're not sure if it's going to work or not.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So, for that, we run a set of very sophisticated numerical modeling experiments. So, to explain, let's say that you have your existing weather model on the Earth.
Mhm.
So, you get in your observations, you update the model, it makes a forecast, you get some more observations, you update the model, and so on.
Mhm.
So, what happens if you take a model and if you let it just freely run? It completely diverges, it starts making up its own weather phenomena, but
Mhm.
inside that model, you already have knowledge of what the exact temperature is, what the exact humidity is at every point on the globe.
Okay.
So you can use that as a baseline, and you can use it in experiments. So you can take that as truth effectively. And then you can run a set of experiments where you use that truth and you simulate every potential observer of the Earth's atmosphere. So a whole bunch of government satellites, a whole bunch of private aircraft, and you can simulate the tomorrow satellites on top of that. And you can run like a twin study style experiment where you say, okay, say that we start with the model initial state and say
Mhm.
that we try and assimilate those observations and then let it propagate, make a new forecast with the errors, propagate a little bit. Say that you do that with everybody's observations besides for ours, and then say that you do it in another case with our observations added on. You can say back to your ground truth how far away those observations or how far away those experiments diverged.